Good morning. We're here today to celebrate a incredible and important measure in our nation's history. Last month, the Congress passed a bipartisan gun control bill. This gun control bill was speedily signed into law so that work could begin to um, rid our nation of this violence that is sweeping through our country this summer. I've been to this podium too many times to talk about the deaths that have occurred because of gun violence. Uvalde, um, Illinois, just on July 4th. Um, you think of all the Buffalo. You think of all the mass shootings we've had in our nation. It's time for that to end. This bill will address that, and I do believe it will bring the violence to an end. A lot of people say it doesn't have a chance to work. It doesn't have a chance to uh, to reduce the gun violence that's sweeping our nation. And I say this: it has a chance. It has a chance. The biggest single problem that two single biggest problems I could say this is two problems that we're facing in our nation with this is one, mental health funding and screening, and secondly, access to these assault weapons. Now, I'm by no means saying that we need to eliminate all weapons. What I am saying, though, however, is why does an 18-year-old student, uh, young man, have a need for an assault weapon? When I was growing up in Texas as a young man, we used to go hunting every September in West Texas. In those young early days, I went out for the fun to be with the guys for the weekend and enjoy just being out there and being among those great guys. But also that those weekends taught us the importance of gun safety. Yes, we hunted. Parents, my dad's hunted, or the dads hunted until we got to an age that we were able to actually take part of it. But I remember each day during these trips, there was always a talk about gun safety, about not pointing the weapon at somebody, about making sure that the safety is on, making sure that the gun is securely um, locked up when it's not being used. And that stuck with me. That stuck with me for years and still does to today, this day. And I think it's what we need to get back to is um, there needs to be an awareness and of how dangerous these weapons are, and teaching our young men and women what these weapons can do and how to safely operate them. And I go back to these mass shootings, and I know from when um, I got my guns through the years. Started out with a BB gun, went to a 22, 410, a 12 gauge, and as you got the bigger guns, of course, it got more and more expensive. I guess the question I've got is where are these where are these young adults getting the finances for to get these weapons? Something that we need to look at as well. But this bipartisan effort on this gun control bill is going to go a long way to solving the ills that face our nation. Um, I do want to thank the congressmen and women who actually worked tirelessly on getting this passed through Congress in an incredible short period of time. Chris Murphy, Kristen Sinema, and of course my fellow Texan John Cornyn. Um, this is the first major gun bill in over 30 years. In over 30 years. But it took mass shooting after mass shooting after mass shooting to get this done. That should never have occurred. Uvalde, Texas, southern part of my home state. I remember hearing about that very vividly. And it was toward the end of school. And kids were excited to get out of school. Award ceremonies were going on. And a shooter came in and took the lives of those students. Now we have in Uvalde people who won't go near Robb Elementary, students who don't want to go back in just a few short weeks to school, and the parents the same way. And quite honestly, I understand it. I get that. I understand it totally. This is where the mental health funding comes in, and mental health help for this. It's going to provide for uh, increased counseling in schools. Again, a lot of the details are in the bill. I won't go into a lot of that today, but but that's the biggest thing right there. Um, is the impact that these mass shootings have on communities. Talk about Uvalde, um, and how they're going to go through a process when school opens up in just a few short weeks from now of getting back in school. Parents are saying that Robb Elementary, nobody wants to go there, and quite honestly, I don't blame them. Too many memories, too many bad memories of that day. Um, Another part of this bipartisan bill will be increased or enhanced background checks. There already are background checks. I understand that on the state level. This is going to be a more enhanced version, and among that, it's going to be a mental health background check to see if you've actually have had mental health counseling in the past, and that will be part of the screening when you're out purchasing a weapon. The boyfriend Lupo that was talked about a lot when this was passed last month. Um, it prohibits um, people who are in a domestic relationship and get into an argument or violence from purchasing a weapon. Uh, Again, these are just three key points of this enhanced or this gun control bill that I think will go a long ways in turning this around. Will it be solved overnight? No, it won't be solved overnight. But over a period of time, over a course of time, with this bill in effect, I do believe that we will see a decrease in the violence in our cities and throughout our country. I mean, we have to think about this. You look at the statistics around the world, and other countries don't have near the gun violence that we have. I just this last weekend, the former prime minister of Japan, Abe, was assassinated in Japan. And this is a country that has a zero um, tolerance gun control law. And but the violence happens. Again, where is this coming from? Where is it coming from? And I think, and I'm glad it's part of it, like I mentioned earlier, the mental health portion of this will go a long ways uh, to fixing, uh, I believe, the ills that cause these problems and that lead people to take that step. I said this before. It takes a lot to pull a weapon. To pull out a weapon and point it at somebody, it takes a lot. And I think I know that these key points of this bill will help. So again, this is a day of celebration. I do again want to thank everybody on both sides of the aisle. Again, bipartisan. That's something that we don't hear a lot of in Washington these days is bipartisanship, but it shows. It shows what can be done when two opposing parties sit down with one another and work together for the common good. Thank you all very much.